Let's say this is an appropriate song to play when we're talking about Syracuse football these days. There's a lot of Jersey going on. Oh, yes. A lot of New Jersey going on when it comes to Syracuse football these days, as we're going to get into a little football here. They're in the process of revealing Syracuse basketball's opponents for next year. Looks like the Orange have drawn the West Coast swing and will be headed to both Stanford and Cal next season. We'll get into that in 20-30 minutes from now. But right now, let's bring in our first guest of the day. He's the co-defensive coordinator. He is the linebackers coach. He is Robert Wright. Robert, thanks so much for hopping on today. Great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
This has been a wild time here to be watching Syracuse football, Robert, the last 3 months. You know, lots of excitement around the program. Obviously, Fran Brown has come in with a lot of energy, the whole staff here. What's it been like for you to be a part of what's gone on here for the last, 3 months now?
It's been great. Just super excited to be a part of this. Humbled and grateful for the opportunity to learn from Coach Fran, and it's been amazing.
When you look at everything's gone on, you know, obviously from the moment Fran gets hired, you know, we start talking recruiting a lot. There was a lot of excitement around that. Like, for you on the inside, are you getting caught up in that? Is it a wave of momentum, or are you trying to be like, all right, let's sit down at our desk and do some work and get ready for the football aspect? What's the balance from the inside when you look at that stuff?
Well, obviously you get excited with the momentum that we have, right? You try to capture that in recruiting, right? In the transfer portal, made a couple splashes earlier, trying to carry that into, building the rest of the 2025 class right now. And like, hey, look, we got, look at what we're doing, right? This is not Syracuse like you used to know it, right? This is a new Syracuse, and trying to keep that momentum going. But just taking it a day at a time, still not getting caught up in the hype. Ultimately, but just showing up to work, and it's been fun to be a part of.
You know, you mentioned it. I feel I see every day on Twitter some recruits somewhere. Hey, just got an offer from Syracuse. Just got an offer from Syracuse. I feel I can't even count the amount of times I've seen that over the course of the last month as you're building this 2025 class. You know, right now, that versus working on the football. You guys got to install literally everything ground up here to install the football. How do you balance your days, recruiting versus football at this time of the year?
Well, you'd like to balance it, but there's not a ton of balance right now. You're in a football meeting and a recruit calls you. You have to step out and take that, and we try to block it out as best as we can. Different times of the day: football in the morning, recruiting in the afternoon, then a little bit more football. And then at night, we're doing all of the recruiting stuff, phone calls, FaceTime, Zoom, things like that. So try to balance it, but it's all nonstop.
Yeah, it seems to be going about 800 miles an hour right now as we're with Robert Wright, one of the new coaches on Fran Brown's staff. Tell us best you can. What is it like working for and with Fran Brown?
I'm loving it so far. He's super direct. If there's any sort of issue, he's going to address it, which I actually really like that model. You're not guessing, you're not questioning, did he like that or not? So it's been great. And he is on 100, I would say 20 hours of the day. Feels like he does not sleep. He's here when we get here in the mornings. He's always here when we leave at night, which is good, because when you're leaders of a team, or your head coach of a staff is your hardest worker, right? It really makes everybody else rise to their level and work as hard as he is, because I know he's doing that. So I've got to hold up my end of the bargain and match his how hard he's working.
I know you obviously had a pre-existing relationship with Elijah Robinson, and we can get into that. Did you have one with Fran as well, or was he new to you as part of this hiring process and coming here?
He was new to me, but we have a couple people that we'd worked with, or that we both worked for in common. I'd never spoken to him until we kind of got involved in this process, which was interesting. I've never done this. I've never gone to work for a head coach I didn't know. But it's been rewarding. It's been great.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, Robert, but that tells me that your relationship with Elijah must be strong enough to have made this happen, because you worked together at Texas A&M. That's clearly the direct tie you have here. What was your relationship with Elijah Robinson, now the defensive coordinator here, while you guys were down in College Station?
Yeah, we had a really good relationship. We had the 2 years that I was at Texas A&M, we had a lot of success on defense. And we had a great staff, so we were all pretty close. So I had a good relationship with him, and he was always someone that as I've moved around, you think about people that you'd want to work for in the future. And he was one of those people all along. Didn't know when it may be or what role it may be or what capacity. But he was always super respectful. The kids absolutely love him. He's a great recruiter. He's a great family man. And so when the opportunity came up, it was something that I absolutely could not pass up on. And so here we are.
Robert, when I look at this staff, and you certainly fall in this, I know you're on a list of, top 35 and under coaches, and there's a bunch of you guys in that room that could fall into categories like that with the top whatever, under whatever age. It's a very youthful room, despite you guys, I think, having a decent amount of experience to go along with it. What does that do as far as, energy in the building, right? Like you guys are still, even though you're at Syracuse, you guys feel like you're all still on the rise here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, from the energy standpoint, like I think that I have a good amount of energy and I bring a lot of energy, but the amount of energy that Nick Williams brings to the D staff room every day, I'm having to match him. But it's good because it keeps us going, and a lot of guys have different personalities. It's a really great staff that I'm thankful to be a part of. And then the youthfulness of our staff, I think, is like, people in recruiting will potentially say that it's a negative. I actually view it as a positive. We're all trying to establish ourselves, and we're all trying to create a name for ourselves in this program, right? And so we're hungry, right? We don't have all of these years of experience and, they were good in their past and all of that stuff to fall back on. So we're all hungry to keep climbing in this industry and challenge each other and get better every day and just keep growing together.
Robert Wright's with us. Your title is the co-defensive coordinator and the linebackers coach. Obviously, Elijah Robinson is the defensive coordinator. But you come here last year, you were the defensive coordinator at Buffalo. How much does that add to it here? That, while Elijah's the DC, it's his first time doing this. You have that experience of calling the plays last year. How much does that add to, I guess, the give and take you guys have as you're putting together the packages right now?
Yeah, well, when E set out to hire this defensive staff, like early on, we were talking about what he envisioned it to look like. And it was just people that are all coming together for a common good without egos, right? That are going to come together and create a defense that's our defense, not what I did at Buffalo or what they did at A&M. A lot of things in E's past, other defenses that he's liked that. But at the end of the day, it's hard to talk. You can't get experience as a defensive coordinator without doing it. So I think that's where I brought him value, having been through it, having to have it, go through the game days, make the corrections, have not necessarily a great game. How do you respond from that? So I think that experience is invaluable. Joe Schaefer, our defensive backs coach, has also been a defensive coordinator. So I think that was important for E to make sure that he surrounded himself with people. Joe's incredible, that don't have egos, are willing to come together, talk things through. What's the best thing for us to do here at Syracuse? Not necessarily what we've done in the past. And that's kind of how we're putting this thing together.
And we talk about the youthfulness of the staff. It feels like that, right, offsets the youthfulness in a positive way, right? That a lot of you guys do have, coordinator, play calling, that type of experience in your background, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. There's not, I don't know. I don't know the exact stats, but I'm pretty young, one of the younger coaches, but there's not a lot of people at my age or Joe's age that are able to say that they've done that at the Division I level.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Robert, tell us about the football. I'd say the one thing we haven't really talked about a whole ton yet, with Fran, with Elijah, with any of you guys, is what the football is going to look like next year. What do you expect this defense to look like when you get into designing it right now? Which ways is it leading you at this moment?
Yeah, well, I would say before you get into the X's and O's in the scheme of anything, right? Every defense that has ever been invented has won a championship and has also gotten blown out, right? So I would say that the first thing that we're focusing on is the play style of our defense, right? Running to the football, playing 11 hats of the ball at all times, playing physical, playing violent, right, striking blocks. So before we get even into the scheme, like that's who we want to be, right? We want to be a disciplined defense. We want to, we want to be relentless. We want to be tough, right? Before you even line up the X's and O's, because we haven't even gotten into spring ball yet, so we don't necessarily know what any of these guys can do.
Yeah, that's still, we're, slightly less than a month out here at this point from you guys actually getting on the field and getting to do legit football stuff with these guys. That'll be coming up later on in March. We can see, especially, later days in recruiting the last class, certainly what you guys went after in the transfer portal, definitely in the later half of it, I'd say. There was a lot of big dudes, right?
No doubt.
Like we've been watching the 3-3-5 defense the last couple of years, which is not built around that. How important, in that last maybe month there was infusing some legit size into this defense.
No doubt. Well, Coach Fran says this: big people beat up little people. That's why they have weight classes in wrestling and boxing. So you're always trying to replicate, right? Coach E recruited some really good defensive linemen to the SEC. You're trying to replicate that, which is having big physical D linemen, because ultimately the game starts up front, right? O-line, D-line, right? If you can dominate the line of scrimmage, everything gets easier from there. It's kind of how how you can view it. If you're holding the line of scrimmage, it's going to be tough to run, right? And if you're also complementing that with rushing the passer, right, it makes it a lot easier to cover guys when you don't have to cover them for long. So just trying to go out and find guys that fit what we're trying to try to get done here, which came back to some bigger guys that we were thankful and grateful to be able to get committed.
Robert Wright with us. He's the co-DC. He's the linebackers coach. And, Robert, I feel this differs from new staff to new staff. I feel some new staffs, like they go back over like the previous year. They pour over tape. They want to see what they got. Some I feel coming in like, hey, blank slate. Practice is starting here. We're going to earn it on the field. Which way do you guys lean? Have you gone back and watched Syracuse last year? Or is this, hey, we'll see what we got in spring ball?
Yeah, we've gone back and watched some stuff just to see just to see the guys and see what they've done. But we don't assume anything, and we're not judging guys based off of the past. Everybody, kind of has a blank slate, right? Who's going to work hard? Who's going to do what we're asking them to do? And from there, right, it's all on them.
And I say, I'll prejudge one of your guys for you because you are the linebackers coach. I got a pretty good sense that Marlo Wax is ready to line up and play some football for you. What has been your early relationship like with Marlo as you get ready for this season?
It's been great with Marlo. He's a hard worker. You could come back for the season and say, I don't need to get better. I had a good season, whatever. He's trying to improve his game. He's asking me where he thinks where he can get better. And just taking that approach of using this year to better himself moving forward. He's humble. He's got a great personality. He's always smiling. And he's trying to also, he's not caught up in himself. He's trying to help the young guys in the room who haven't necessarily been through what he's been through, helping them grow, making sure guys are there on time, right? Making sure that, the room stays intact and in order. And he's being a leader too, which is really good to see.
All right, last thing for you, Robert. Here we are, just a few weeks away from the start of spring ball. Now till then, what's the main goal for you? What needs to be accomplished from now before you get these guys on the field?
Before we get on the field, just the way that we want them to play. Like, as you put in a new defense, right, it's going to evolve. There's going to be things that we change and calls that we like and don't like, but just the way that we play, the way we run to the ball, how physical we're going to be. And then we got to be the best tackling position group on the field as the linebackers. So when we can, working a bunch of tackling drills, being more physical, using our hands. That's really what we're trying to get done right now and being tough.
All right, Robert. Hey, really great to chat with you today and get to know you a little bit. Look forward to doing this some more down the line. And thanks for hopping on for a few today.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Anytime.
All right, there he goes. Robert Wright, one of the new assistant coaches under Fran Brown. He's the co-defensive coordinator working with the linebackers. That Marlo Wax guy. We like Marlo, friend of the show. So hopefully it all goes well here coming forward. Looking forward to, spring football it's football practice. It can be. That's what it is. It's football practice, and it's football practice with no game anytime near it. It can be tedious. It can be kind of boring. They're practicing. This year, though, it's like, a little football practice. What do we got? what do we got? What are they doing? What's up over there? First time we can say that about spring practice in I don't know how long, because it is, by the nature of it, it's not the most exciting thing that ever happened. But this year, intrigue. That'll be starting later on in March. I'll tell you what's starting next year is the new ACC Conference basketball schedule. The Orange men's basketball home and road ACC opponents. They dropped. They dropped while we were talking to Robert. We'll bring that fine info to you when we come back in this hour, brought to you by William Attar. Hurt in a car? Call William Attar. Phone line's open as well at 315-437-7644. Back after this, it's Q Sports Talk. It is ESPN Radio.